Military campaigns. Mongol invasions and northern conquests. 1297. 1306. In the winter of 1297, the Mongols led by Alauddin of the Shah-Ghatakhanate raided Punjab, advancing as far as Kasur. Alauddin's forces, led by Alaf Khan, defeated the Mongols on February 6, 1298. According to Amir Khusro, 20,000 Mongols were killed in the battle, and many more were killed in Delhi after being brought there as prisoners. In 129,899, another Mongol army, possibly Nigudari fugitives, invaded Siam and occupied the fort of Sivistan. This time, Alauddin's general Zafar Khan defeated the invaders and recaptured the fort. In early 1299, Alauddin sent Alaf Khan and Nasrat Khan to invade Gujarat, where the Vaghela King Kana offered a weak resistance. Alauddin's army plundered several towns, including Somnath, where it desecrated the famous Hindu temple. The Delhi army also captured several people, including the Vaghela Queen Kamala Devi and slave Malik Kafur, who later led Alauddin's southern campaigns. During the army's return journey to Delhi, some of its Mongol soldiers staged an unsuccessful mutiny near Jala. After the generals forcibly tried to extract a share of loot comes from them, Alauddin's administration meted out brutal punishments to the mutineers' families in Delhi, including killings of children in front of their mothers. According to Ziauddin Barani, the practice of punishing wives and children for the crimes of men started with this incident in Delhi. In 1299, the Shahgati ruler Dua sent a Mongol force led by Kutluk Khwaja to conquer Delhi. In the ensuing battle of Khilji, Alauddin personally led the Delhi forces, but his general Zafar Khan attacked the Mongols without waiting for his orders. Although Zafar Khan managed to inflict heavy casualties on the invaders, he and other soldiers in his unit were killed in the battle. Kutluk Khwaja was also seriously wounded, forcing the Mongols to retreat. Conquest of northern India. Around the same time, Alauddin turned his attention towards the present-day state of Rajasthan to subdue the Rajput kingdoms, for a secure base to Gujarat and Malwa, and for further expeditions in the south. In 1299 CE, Alauddin besieged the fortress of Jaisalmer, ruled by Bhartis at the time under Jait Singh I. Following a long siege and due to the dearth of food and resources, eventually, the besieged Rajputs under the command of Mula Raja performed Sarkar, where the women committed Jauhar and the men fought until death. Thus, Alauddin successfully penetrated into territories of the Bhartis. After the conquest of Jaisalmer, it remained under the Khaljis for a few more years. In 1301, Alauddin ordered Alaf Khan and Nasrat Khan to invade Ranthambore, whose king Hamiradeva had granted asylum to the leaders of the mutiny near Jala. After Nasrat Khan was killed during the siege, Alauddin personally took charge of the siege operations and conquered the fort in July 1301. During the Ranthambore campaign, Alauddin faced 3 unsuccessful rebellions. To suppress any future rebellions, he set up an intelligence and surveillance system, instituted a total prohibition in Delhi, established laws to prevent his nobles from networking with each other, and confiscated wealth from the general public. In the winter of 13,021,303, Alauddin dispatched an army to ransack the Kakatiya capital Warangal. Meanwhile, he himself led another army to conquer Chitta, the capital of the Gahila kingdom ruled by Ratnasima. Alauddin captured Chitta after an 8-month-long siege. According to his courtier Amir Khusrau, he ordered a massacre of 30,000 local Hindus after this conquest. Some later legends state that Alauddin invaded Chitta to capture Ratnasima's beautiful Queen Padmini. But most modern historians have rejected the authenticity of these legends. While the imperial armies were busy in Chitta and Warangal campaigns, the Mongols launched another invasion of Delhi around August 1303. Alauddin managed to reach Delhi before the invaders, but did not have enough time to prepare for a strong defense. Meanwhile, the Warangal campaign was unsuccessful because of heavy rains, according to Ziauddin Barani, and the army had lost several men and its baggage. Neither this army, nor the reinforcements sent by Alauddin's provincial governors, could enter the city because of the blockade set up by the Mongols. Under these difficult circumstances, Alauddin took shelter in a heavily guarded camp of the under-construction Siri fort. The Mongols engaged his forces in some minor conflicts, but neither army achieved a decisive victory. The invaders ransacked Delhi and its neighborhoods, but ultimately decided to retreat after being unable to breach Syria. The Mongol invasion of 1303 was one of the most serious invasions of India, and prompted Alauddin to take several steps to prevent its repeat. He strengthened the forts and the military presence along the Mongol routes to India. He also implemented a series of economic reforms to ensure sufficient revenue inflows for maintaining a strong army. In 1304, Alauddin appears to have ordered a second invasion of Gujarat, which resulted in the annexation of the Vaghala kingdom to the Delhi Sultanate. In 1305, he launched an invasion of Malwa in central India, which resulted in the defeat and death of the Paramara king Mahalikadeva. The Yayavapala dynasty, which ruled the region to the northeast of Malwa, also appears to have fallen to Alauddin's invasion. In December 1305, the Mongols invaded India again. Instead of attacking the heavily guarded city of Delhi, the invaders proceeded southeast to the Gangetic plains along the Himalayan foothills. Alauddin's 3,000 strong cavalry, led by Malik Nayak, defeated the Mongols at the Battle of Amroha. Many Mongols were taken captive and killed. The 16th century historian Firishta claims that the heads of 8,000 Mongols were used to build the Siri fort commissioned by Alauddin. In 1306, another Mongol army sent by Duwa advanced up to the Ravi River, ransacking the territories along the way. Alauddin's forces, led by Malik Kafur, decisively defeated the Mongols. Duwa died next year, and after that the Mongols did not launch any further expeditions to India during Alauddin's reign. On the contrary, Alauddin's Tapalpa governor Malik Tuluk regularly raided the Mongol territories located in present-day Afghanistan. Marwa and Southern campaigns, 1307, 1313. Around 1308, Alauddin sent Malik Kafur to invade Devagiri, whose king Ramachandra had discontinued the tribute payments promised in 1296 and had granted asylum to the Vaghala king Kana at Baglana. Kafur was supported by Alauddin's Gujarat governor Al-Khan, whose forces invaded Baglana and captured Kana's daughter Devala Devi, later married to Alauddin's son Kaiser Khan. At Devagiri, Kafur achieved an easy victory, and Ramachandra agreed to become a lifelong vassal of Alauddin. Meanwhile, a section of Alauddin's army had been besieging the fort of Siwana in Marwa region unsuccessfully for several years. In August-September 1308, Alauddin personally took charge of the siege operations in Siwana. The Delhi army conquered the fort in the siege of Siwana, and the defending ruler, Sitaladeva, was killed in November 1308. The plunder obtained from Devagiri prompted Alauddin to plan an invasion of the other southern kingdoms, which had accumulated a huge amount of wealth, having been shielded from the foreign armies that had ransacked northern India. In late 1309, he sent Malik Kafur to ransack the Kakatiya capital Warangal. Helped by Ramachandra of Devagiri, Kafur entered the Kakatiya territory. In January 1310, ransacking towns and villages on his way to Warangal. After a month-long siege of Warangal, the Kakatiya king Prataparudra agreed to become a tributary of Alauddin, and surrendered a large amount of wealth, possibly including the Kyoij Ainu diamond, to the invaders. Meanwhile, after conquering Siwana, Alauddin had ordered his generals to subjugate other parts of Marwa before returning to Delhi. The raids of his generals in Marwa led to their confrontations with Konhadava, the Kahamana ruler of Jala. In 1311, Alauddin's general Malik Kamaluddin Gur captured the Jala fort after defeating and killing Konhadava. During the siege of Warangal, Malik Kafur had learned about the wealth of the Hoysala and Pandya kingdoms located further south. After returning to Delhi, he took Alauddin's permission to lead an expedition there. Kafur started his march from Delhi in November 1310 and crossed Deccan in early 1311, supported by Alauddin's tributaries Ramachandra and Prataparudra. At this time, the Pandya kingdom was reeling under a war of succession between the two brothers Veera and Sundara, and taking advantage of this, the Hoysala king Balala had invaded the Pandyan territory. When Balala learned about Kafur's march, he hurried back to his capital Gaurisamudra. However, he could not put up a strong resistance and negotiated a truce after a short siege, agreeing to surrender his wealth and become a tributary of Alauddin. From Gaurisamudra, Malik Kafur marched to the Pandya kingdom, where he raided several towns reaching as far as Madurai. Both Veera and Sundara fled their headquarters, and thus Kafur was unable to make them Alauddin's tributaries. Nevertheless, the Delhi army looted many treasures, elephants and horses. The Delhi chronicler Ziauddin Barani described this seizure of wealth from Dwara Samudra and the Pandya kingdom as the greatest one since the Muslim capture of Delhi. During this campaign, the Mongol general Abachi had conspired to ally with the Pandyas, and as a result, Alauddin ordered him to be executed in Delhi. This, combined with their general grievances against Alauddin, led to resentment among Mongols who had settled in India after converting to Islam. A section of Mongol leaders plotted to kill Alauddin, but the conspiracy was discovered by Alauddin's agents. Alauddin then ordered a mass massacre of Mongols in his empire, which, according to Barani, resulted in the death of 20,000 or 30,000 Mongols. Meanwhile, in Devagiri, after Ramakandra's death, his son tried to overthrow Alauddin's suzerainty. Malik Kafur invaded Devagiri again in 1313, defeated him, and became the governor of Devagiri.